Mans are live. Welcome back to Pure Finesse for the third last installment of Fantasy
Fridays.
Friday. Brought to you by the in-game arena announcer, The Break, Jacob Murchison. Thank you very much. I'll take my check on Thursdays. Money, what's going on, Chief?
Oh, geez, so cringe. Nothing. Just I'm excited for the AFC West. We did what? NFC
Are
West
you
last
really
time, the
though?
best of it. Kind of, yeah. Like I like talking about these guys.
Oh, so
And
you're
this,
not going to dope or pass off the kickers like you usually do?
oh no,
Kickers
this
are
one.
people too. Kickers are people too.
No, this
They have
one is.
families.
I'm gonna give you a disclaimer now. This one's just awful shit show for
I was gonna
kickers.
say you caught yourself saying we might not get through them often today, ladies and gentlemen, just for a precursor. But maybe I'll prove them wrong. We'll see.
We- Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But we're gonna get into it. I'll start with the quarterbacks. But if you don't know the AFC West, we're doing Kansas City Chiefs, Los Angeles Chargers, the Las Vegas Raiders now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to catch myself a couple of times saying that one.
Yeah, and the Denver Broncos. So I'm gonna start with Kansas City. So the reigning Super Bowl champs. And if we go to quarterbacks, I think you kind of have to
He
know
needs
who
no
this is if you
introduction.
know football. The reigning Super Bowl champ, no introduction, Mr. Patrick Mahomes. Last year, he missed a few games due to injury, but still putting up great numbers at 4,031 passing yards, 65.9% completion rate, 26 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, pretty good. And then 218 rush yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. He's a mobile quarterback. He's able to run the ball as well. If you use him in Madden, you'd be surprised. Like, wow, this guy can run like it's nothing. But Mr. Patty Mahomes, I feel like has to be in that conversation. Top three for sure. I have my top two quarterbacks at number two for fantasy football this year. I think
Absolutely.
getting
He's
paid
gotta be number two.
$500 million. He's gonna have to show out and prove that he's worth that much.
Yeah, he's just behind the cover athlete for number one, so he is number two in my books. Your reigning Super Bowl MVP, Pat Mahomes, was fantasy's third highest scoring quarterback during his 13 active weeks, only behind, again, the cover athlete and Russ Wilson. So, I mean, he's doing some pretty serious damage when he's in the game. And he didn't really get hindered very much by his injury last year. Probably only his rushing numbers would have been hindered
Yeah,
because the gun show. Oh, hello, you see that? Yeah.
and I
Is
and
in
I
some
think it's
serious.
touchdowns too. He only had 26. I think he would have put up 30 if he wasn't injured.
Yeah, but it didn't hinder his play. Like when he was
No, no.
actually on the field,
Hmm.
except it was the rushing game because obviously dislocated kneecap will do that. So he's got again great weapons like we're gonna get into, and a pass-heavy offense that Andy Reid likes to run. So it's just all lights are green for Pat Mahomes. We got tailback and probably the most intriguing name, probably the league right now at
Hmm.
running back is your rookie out of Louisiana State University.
Go
Well,
Tigers.
Travis is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Should be Quebec with that kind of name. Like, come on. He paced this year's rookie class in targets with 65, receptions at 55, and receiving yards at 453 last season. Oh, by the way, he's a running back. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we don't get that messed up. Not the fastest tool in the shed at a 4.60 on the 40-yard dash, and he isn't the most I don't know, prolific body type at 5'7". So I think it's going to might cost him some goal line touches. But probably the most, I would say, biggest name to opt out of the NFL season was Damian Williams, who
Yeah.
happens to be the competition in the Kansas City locker room to be the starting running back. So all signs are pointing for Clyde Edwards-Helaire to take that job and run with it. No pun intended. Look at me go. So I have Edwards-Helaire ranked 17th in my running back rankings. Low end running back number one, high end running back number two. I just have a tough time having a rookie running back being my
Yeah.
first running back on my team.
Yeah, so because you don't know what he's going to do, right? So he could be a complete bust. But I think that he's going to have the opportunity to be the number one running back in Kansas City. But like you said, they're pass heavy offense, and we know that with Patrick Mahomes being on the team. I have Clyde though at number 15 overall.
Yeah, we don't know if Clyde or Edwards-Helaire might be just a flash in the pan like yourself in real hockey, so we don't know. We don't know yet.
What are you talking about? MVP 3 times? Come on. Come on. But you mentioned Damian Williams, so we can't get into him since he opted out. So we go to the wide receivers now.
Yeah.
And obviously, the number one receiver in Kansas City is Mr. Tyreek Hill, the Cheetah, as he likes to refer himself to. The Cheetah he also played 12 games last year. I think the same around Patty Mahomes, where Patty played 14 or something. But Ty Hill played 12 games. He had 860 reception yards, 7 touchdowns, and 58 receptions. He was still targeted up towards like 86 times, I think. Only playing 12 games, so he would have been targeted. And he's always targeted on those deep balls, right? Because he's the fast guy, so he can run past almost anyone. Remember him catching up to Damian Williams and just running beside him to make sure no one touched him. He's the fastest guy in the league. I him in my top 5 wide receivers right at number 5.
Oh my God, me too. Get the fuck out.
I think he's going to be a great pickup. Obviously, number 1 receiver if you can get him. There's a lot of good receivers, so you won't go wrong if you miss out on him. And because he is the number 1 receiver on the team, but as we'll get to, I don't think he's the number 1 reception guy that they're going to go towards.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess so. Ty Hill's never finished lower than 4th among wide receivers in fantasy points per snap. And like you said, it's a pass-heavy offense, and he is the fastest guy in the league. Sorry, Matt Breida. But, yeah, I have him, Ty Hill, 5th in wide receiver rankings. That's obviously a high-end wide receiver number 1. He should be going in the first 3 rounds of the draft. Any draft.
Yeah. Any other
a question?
Any other receivers you want to get into? There's no receivers that I want to get into, but any receivers?
How in the good name of Rip Van Daddy have you not talked about Mecole Hardman?
You want
I don't have his numbers because I thought you would have had it, but
no.
He was limited to only 44% of the Chiefs' offensive snaps for a grand total of 41 targets during his rookie season. So he's had I think, a very good rookie season to what his numbers showed, and he's a super explosive player, and he might be playing more punt return this year to save Tyreek Hill from getting injured like he did last year. But he's probably wide receiver number 2, and he's wicked quick. So I have him 47th in my wide receiver rankings. I'm taking him as a mid to low end flex player.
I think he'll be, but is he going to be competing for that number 2 spot with Mr. Sammy Watkins?
Yeah. He's probably one of the more overrated players from where he was drafted. He's yet to finish a season better than wide receiver 20 in fantasy points, and having failed to manage a top 40 fantasy campaign since 2015. So he's suffering. But he's got bit by the injury bug pretty bad. He's missed 17 games over the past 4 seasons, so he needs to put a full season together. So I have him ranked 54th in my wide receiver rankings as a bench player, and maybe a substitution if you see any of these guys get hurt or not performing up to their standards. We got the tight end position next, and arguably one of the best tight ends in football. It's Killer Trav from Cleveland Heights. It's Travis Kelce. Season had 97 receptions for a monstrous 1,229 yards and 5 touchdowns. So he is fantasy's number 1 tight end for the past 4 straight seasons.
Yeah,
not bad. So he's finished no lower than 2nd at the position in routes, targets, receptions, and yardage each of the past 3 seasons. And he has yet to finish a season outside the top 10 in yards per target. So he is your prototypical receiving tight end. He can do it all. He can block. He can catch. He does everything. He gets probably most of the end zone looks in Kansas City because they really don't have a tall receiver that can just say go up and get it. So Killer Travis probably poised for another unbelievable 1,000-yard season as usual. But I think George Kittle is better than him this year. So I have him ranked 2nd in tight end rankings.
Same, I have him
as well. Yeah.
Number 2, like 90. He had 97 receptions. That's 97 points in a PPR league right away.
Yeah, if we were in a PPR league, but thanks, Kamish.
He was targeted 136 times. 136. That's ridiculous. And he is quite the rusher because on his one rush attempt, what for 4 yards and a
Yeah,
touchdown.
one rush.
On a
One.
touchdown though. Still, every little bit counts. But we'll move along to the kickers now, and this is the only kicker that I am going to be talking about today because the other kickers are not worth mentioning. This
How in the
guy
good
is
name of
dead
Skip Chavez are you going to talk about any of the four kickers?
because you have top 15. I'm not going to just give useless information to our 9 viewers
Hmm.
and say,
15 last Fantasy
hey,
Friday, I'll have
I'm
you
going to
know.
talk about this guy. Just don't even, I'm not going to waste your time. No. Oh, 15. Thank you guys for watching. But this guy is on Kansas City, obviously, Mr. Harrison Butker, 24 years old, so his third year in the league, and he's still putting up some great numbers. I think it's his third year, yeah.
I was
I think this
shocked he's 24.
yeah, I know. I thought he was older, but he on extra points he went 45 of 48. Then field goals he went 34 of 38. So I'm only missing four. Three of those missings being from 50 plus, but he did hit his career high 56 this year as well. So when I think that's good numbers to see when your missed kicks are coming from 50 or plus yards because those are the hard ones to hit. So he's almost hitting 90% of his field goals. He's 13 for 13 from 40 to 49. So you love to see that. He's 9 to 10 from 30 to 39. So he missed like that one kick where like, oh, he missed it. And
Oh,
then
that one kick.
inside the 20 to a 9, he's 9 out of 9. So for Harrison Butker, I have him right at number 2, right behind the best kicker of all time. He'll get into in a future episode. But
It's not your hometown team, is it? I hope
no,
not.
no, come on, no way.
Okay. Just like saying to
But
myself, you're
no,
not going to pump all their tires right now, are you?
yeah, Harrison Butker though, number 2 fantasy kicker this year.
Yeah. Mr. Bucker led the NFL in both attempts, 38, conversions, 34 in 2019. So you can chalk that up to how amazing the Chiefs' offense is last year and probably will be this year. So he's
Yep.
probably going to get the same amount of attempts and conversions as he did last year. Because if your team puts up more than 30 points a game, you're going to be kicking the field goals and extra points, well, about 5 times a game. So it's a pretty safe bet that Bucker's going to get you more than 5 a game.
Yeah.
And he did finish top 9 in field goal attempts in 4 of the past 5 seasons. So Bucker is ranked number 3
3.
in my
Still
kicker ranking.
inside top 3 like that.
Absolutely.
Album. Yeah.
But the defense in Kansas City really propelled them to be the Super Bowl champs this year. Or I guess last year they'd done those. So last season they had 45 sacks, 16 interceptions, 7 fumbles, 4 touchdowns, 302 points against, and 5,594 yards against. They finished 11th place last year in fantasy, which I think is a huge improvement for everybody who really followed the Chiefs defense 2 years ago where they kind of fell apart in the AFC Championship game. Got some big stars in this team that they kind of locked down for the foreseeable future. Chris Jones, being well known how much he's getting paid with Pat Mahomes, as well Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, and Frank Clark. But more to talk about is the special teams on this side of the ball too, with Ty Hill and Mecole Hardman, who have at least one kick or punt return touchdown in each of the past 4 seasons. That's really huge.
That's
But
the thing.
I don't have them in my top 15, but I mean, if there was a top 16 or a top 17, they'd be in it.
Yeah, because I have my top 16, but I'm at number 14.
Mm.
So still right around that area. But they're still in my top 15. Like the players like Chris Jones, Frank Clark, Tyrann Mathieu, Anthony Hitchens. Obviously, it's not like the most stacked defense, but they still have some good stars who are kind of underrated in my opinion. So I think they're gonna have to. They've been shit on because like their offense is so good, right? That like, oh, the Chiefs don't really need a good defense. Oh, the Chiefs defense is bad. They're not bad, but they're not amazing. But
There's some good stars.
they're still good stars, and they're worth getting. If you slip and you're not able to get one of the top defensive teams, they're still a pretty decent team to get. I'm going to move along to the Denver Broncos now. And in Denver, you have, for your quarterback, the 23-year-old out of Missouri who only played 5 games.
Missouri.
Who only played 5 games last year. So I'll get into his college stats and his stats from last year. Mr. Drew Lock. Drew Lock went 4-1-0 when starting last year with Denver. Had 1,020 passing yards, 64.1% completion, and then seven touchdowns and 3 picks. But in Missouri, so in 2018, In his last year, he had 3,498 pass yards, 28 touchdowns, 8 picks, and then he also rushed the ball for 175 yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. So maybe he's going to be one of those guys that's able to rush the ball and run the ball as well for Denver. I think he's going to be a great, he's going to have a good year. I think he's going to kind of break out this year and make a name for himself. And with the weapons that we'll get into later, I think probably like the best receiving cores or soon to be best receiving cores in the league. He's going to flourish and the whole team's going to flourish. But I have Drew Lock at number 15 overall for your quarterback rankings.
No sophomore slump for Drew Lock, eh?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, Drew Lock last season had, I think, a soft 6.5 yards per attempt. So he's dump off, dump off, dump off. So hopefully he can show the gun show out a little bit more next year. Did start 5 games as a rookie, went 4-1 like you said, but I don't know if he's going to get some wicked numbers like everyone hopes he does because it is a run-first offense in Denver, and deservingly so because of the names that we're going to get to very quickly.
Yeah.
But like you said, that he has a pretty good supporting cast in the receiver core and in tight end for that matter. So I have Drew Lock 16th. In my quarterback rankings is low-end quarterback numero uno.
Yep.
I don't know if I draft him because I want to see what he does in his first couple games.
Yeah.
To see if he still got it or not from his rookie year. So we'll see. You know, maybe you have some Yuha and pick him up. And, I love Denver. I'm going to snatch him up.
Yeah.
We got the tailback position who's coming over from the LA Chargers.
Yeah.
Is Melvin Gordon, who last season, holding up for a contract but still played, had 162 carries for 612 yards and 8 touchdowns to go with 42 receptions for 296 yards and 1 receiving touchdown.
Yep.
He was Fantasy's 12th best running back at the position last year, and he did finish the previous 3 seasons no lower than 9th in scrimmage yards, 6th in touchdowns, and 8th in fantasy points among running backs.
Decent.
I mean, if you know, and he's a pretty household name in Melvin Gordon.
Yeah.
He does it pretty consistently. He really doesn't have an off year or an off game, really, for that matter. He's usually on every game.
He's very consistent.
He is going to have to compete for snaps, which the guy will get to right after this.
Yeah.
Because it's a pretty stacked running back room in Denver. But I have Melvin Gordon ranked 19th in my running back rankings as a high to mid-end running back number 2.
And just like he was competing last year with the guy we'll get to later on the Chargers. But I have him at number 17. The same thing, low-end number 1 pick for your running back position.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. If he's able to beat this guy out, who is? Okay, let you guys do it.
Mr. Philip Lindsay, who last season had 224 carries for over 1,000 yards at 1,011 and 7 touchdowns. He also had 35 receptions for 196 yards. But now he is the former primary running back in that Denver Broncos room right now. I think if there were preseason games, I think you might see this number change, this narrative change. I think if there are preseason games.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he will not get much looks as a receiver because he has a glaring 4.5 career yard per target, and he only got under 200 yards receiving last year, so you really can't run unless you put Melvin Gordon in that position. He can play Melvin Gordon as
like 196 reception yards. Yeah,
that's sticks and pucks.
It's close to 200.
Philip Lindsay is ranked 37th in my running back rankings as a low-end flex in your non-PPR because it's really not worth having him in PPR leagues because he doesn't catch the ball.
Yeah. I have a number right behind you, right at number 38. So same thing. We don't know who's going to be that number 1 guy. Maybe he won't get drafted and he's going to be on that waiver wire, start picking it up, beat out Melvin Gordon for number 1, and you can pick him up. But we're going to get into the heavily loaded Denver, in my opinion, Denver Broncos wide receiver core. I'll get into 2 names for sure. The first one being Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton last year had 1,112 reception yards.
Great pickup for the kid in fantasy last year.
Yeah, 6 receptions.
On the waiver wire, no less.
72 receptions and was targeted 124 times. That's just ridiculous for how young he is. Courtland Sutton is going to have another breakout year, I think, with Drew Lock. Hopefully,
This was his breakout year.
maybe has like an even better year.
That is not a breakout.
Yeah,
What the good name of
this is only
Andre McMillan are you talking about?
only his first year, right? So
Unbelievable.
just relax. But I have him right outside the number 10 spot at number 11 as
Bro, we're like hitting on all cylinders right now with the rankings. So that happens when you copy me. But yeah, like you said, Cortland Sutton's breakout season last year, which was good for 19th best among receivers in fantasy points. And he's pretty reliable at only 2 drops in his 124 targets in his career. Since entering the league, Sutton ranks 6th in the NFL with 23 end zone targets. So huge points in PPR or non-PPR for that matter. So yeah, he's 11th in running back rankings. I would have him as a mid to low end wide receiver number 1 without a shadow of a doubt.
Because he's going to be that top guy, but he's also going to be competing with Mr. Rookie Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama.
Go Tide.
Go Tide. Alabama last year, so Jerry Jeudy had 1,163 reception yards, 10 touchdowns, and 77 receptions. So, and his longest one was an 85-yard touchdown. But that's college ball, obviously, so everything's different in college ball. Still putting up good numbers. He was drafted high first round in this past year's draft. And they're looking, I don't have him ranked, but I have him as a sleeper because you don't know what the rookies, like you like to say a lot.
Yeah.
But I would consider him. Don't sleep on him. I think he'll be a good
Malcolm's sleeping on all these kickers there.
If he does well.
Jerry Jeudy is an unbelievable route runner.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. The best one I think I've seen since, I don't know, Julio Jones maybe. If it's he's going to be an absolute stud. You heard it here first here on Pure Finesse. Like Jerry Jeudy in his first 5 years will be an all-pro receiver.
All-pro receiver.
Absolutely. He's got good speed too at a 4.45 in the 40-yard dash, and he should be the primary slot receiver in Denver, right beside Cortland Sutton now on the wide. So I have Mr. Jeudy ranked 46th in wide receiver rankings. I like him as a flex player. In PPR, absolutely.
I think it'll be a good flex player. But you want to get to the tight ends, or do you want to talk about Mr. KJ?
Sure. I think I see him more in the defense special teams point of things. But yeah, he's a rookie out of Penn State University. Go Nittany Lions with absolutely huge breakout speed. So he could be, I don't know, what a good NFL comparison.
For KJ?
Anyone remembers the name Taylor Gabriel?
Okay, yeah, Taylor Gabriel.
I like it. That's why it's my NFL comparison to him. Or a cheap man's Tariq Cohen, even though he's a wide receiver.
Really?
But Tariq Cohen's a running back, so it's hard to make that comparison.
Yeah, and KJ, looking at me here, he's 5'9", 178 pounds.
Yeah,
so obviously not
demon. Yeah.
That was the music from ESPN, just looking at his height and everything. Sorry about that.
We got tight end up next after Malcolm just calms himself down after that fiasco. It's Noah Fant out of the University of Iowa in his second season coming up, who rookie season had 40 receptions for 562 yards and 3 touchdowns. Kind of underwhelming from all the hype surrounding Noah Fant last year, but obviously his rookie season, so you can't blame the kid so much. His 562 receiving yards ranked 6th among tight ends, and his 8.9 yards per target ranked 5th among tight ends ranked 5th among rookie tight ends since 2007. For me, my NFL comparison to him is a poor man's Evan Ingram. He doesn't get hurt as much. So you probably get more productivity out of Noah Fant than you will with Evan Ingram, but I think Evan Ingram posts more numbers, but you get more durability with Noah Fant. Yeah. So I have him ranked inside top 15 at number 13 in my tight end rankings as a low-end tight end number 1. I'm snatching him up as my tight end.
Yeah, he's
just saying, mark your boards off.
This whole Denver Broncos offense is just so young, and I think they're going to be very good and going to be a good team in a couple of years, and like a very good contending team as well. I have them inside my top 15 as well at number 11 overall. So I would like to snatch it up too. Don't you think you're the only guy who's thinking about getting Noah Fant on your team?
And you have my 6-page notes flat in front of me for all the drafts I'm doing.
Holy.
Cross it off, cross it off, cross it off. Mine, circle it. Thank you.
I'll talk about the kicker, I guess, for Denver.
Brandon McManus. Do it
Brand-
for your country, McManus.
Brandon McManus last year. So he played all of 16 games, obviously. Field goals, he went 29 for 34, so an 85% completion rate.
Quick
But
mess.
yeah, out of extra points, he only missed one, hitting 25 out of 26. His longest kick being a 53-yarder, which is not bad. But of his five misses, two of them came from 40 to 49, and then three of them came from 50 plus. So from 50
Yeah, he
plus,
attempted, I think, a 60-plus yarder last year, if I don't remember correctly.
yeah. So last year he went 4 for 7,
And I
50
think he didn't miss by much.
No, like don't get me wrong, he's still a very good kicker. But 50 plus, he went 4 for 7. 40 to 49, went 10 to 12. Then inside 30, he went 9 for 9, and inside 20, he went for 6 for 6. But still outside of my top 15 for kickers, so I don't have him ranked there. So I wouldn't even consider picking him up.
Yes, he is outside my top 15 as well.
Yeah.
He's got a good leg, so I think he could probably turn some heads, including ours for next year. But I
Mhm.
think Denver's got to put in the end zone more times to give a Brandon McManus a look.
Yeah.
The defense here on Denver is definitely on the up and coming. Last season, had 40 sacks, 10 INTs, 6 fumbles, only 1 touchdown, 310 points against, and 5,392 yards against. They finished in the upper half of the league in fantasy points in 8 of the past 9 seasons, minus last season. So they got to get back to their ways. But they do have a defensive-minded head coach in Vic Fangio that can probably turn things around there. And they did add some pretty good stars in Terrell Casey, who's a Pro Bowler, and
Exactly.
a former Pro Bowler in AJ Boye. But
Hmm.
they did lose Chris Harris Jr., who's not a pro cornerback.
Yeah, but they have still Von Miller, Bradley Chubb,
Yeah,
Justin
Bradley
Simmons.
Chubb's got to stay healthy, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a question mark to me, but I have them just at my 15th in my defense.
You have them at 15th. I have them at number 10 for me. So I have them up there. I think they're still gonna because they're gonna have to back up this young offense, and I think they're gonna be able to do that.
Hey,
Von
so by
Miller,
the way you're talking about Denver, are they a playoff team?
I think so.
Nah.
I think so. I don't know. It's still like I don't think maybe this year they'll be on like the wild card like chase. They'll be on the chase for it, and then next year I think they'll be able to be contending for a better spot than just wild card. But this year I don't see them. If they do make playoffs this year, I think it'll be a wild card or just missing it, like going 8-8 or something like that.
Well, you have a top 10 defense, and we're talking about all the variables. You have you have a top 15 quarterback
Hmm.
in your eyes.
Yeah. I
Well,
don't know. You don't know. We'll see. But we're gonna move along to the newly named Las Vegas Raiders because they moved from out of Oakland finally
about time.
and over to Las Vegas. And their starting quarterback over there is Mr. Derek Carr. And Derek Carr last year had 4,054 passing yards, so a lot of yards he put up, a 70 completion rate. So that's better than any of the other QBs in this division, even better than Mr. Patty Mahomes himself. He had 21 touchdowns and 8 picks, and also rushed the ball for 82 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Oh, big 82.
Big 82. But Derek Carr, I think he'll be able to have a few weapons this year. Just being able to throw to the few guys and younger guys as well, like we said, and his new tight end who you'll get into too. But for his ranking, I have him just outside the top 20 at number 21 as a kind of like a number 2 quarterback or like a bench quarterback if you need him.
Yeah, like you said, with his completion percentage, it was actually second highest in the league
Wow.
at 70%. So for all the shit he takes, he's not that bad of a quarterback.
No, he's not.
He did post a 7.9 yards per attempt, which was ninth in all of National Football League, and had actually the third most dropbacks at 24. So if you want to chalk that up to O-line or chalk it up to receivers not getting open, Derek Carr he's a proven quarterback. I'll just leave it at that. But he only has one top 10 fantasy week before week 16 because he had 2 top 10 fantasy weeks in 16 and 17 where the games didn't really matter. So he's finished 16th or worst in fantasy in each of the past 3 seasons after almost an MVP-like season where he broke his leg in the playoffs 4 games.
Yeah.
So I have Derek Carr ranked 20th in my quarterback rankings as like low-end quarterback number one because I think Vegas almost made a wild card push last year, so maybe they can maybe rekindle that love and
Yeah,
get it going again because they have again
they do have this
pretty hard
good
to
running
ignore some
back
weapons
here.
here because you got your second-year man out of
Yeah,
Alabama, Roll Tide, and running back at Mr. Josh Jacobs, who last season who put up 242 carries for 1,150 yards and 7 touchdowns
not too
to go
shabby.
with 20 receptions for 166 yards. He averaged a pretty meaty 4.75 yards per carry on 242 attempts, which ranked fourth among running backs, as well with a 2.25 yards after catch. He had 4 top 10 fantasy weeks, but I think he has a limited role as a receiver at 27 targets. And I think the other running back I want to mention is going to take a lot of those targets away. So, full threat is a question mark. And sophomore season, you might see the slump off, a little slide down, but I have him ranked outside the top 10, but not by far, at number 12 as a low end running back number one, but a high end running back number two.
I have him inside my top 10, and I think I have him at number 8 overall. Yes. I think he's going to have an even better season than last season. I know you want to say that this other guy is going to take away some of his touches, but I still think he's going to be that number one guy. And still, I'd still consider him a low end starter, though, for your fantasy squad.
Mm-hmm. What in the good name of Seymour Butt are you talking about?
Number 8 and number 12 are 4 spots apart. Just relax there, buddy. Don't you worry. Like the four in between, if we've gotten into them, I think we have like number 9. I have Leonard Fournette, Chris Carson. We went to Seattle, have him at number 12, and then Kenyon Drake at number 11. Then number 10 is your little Browns boy there.
Yeah, he's
So
better. He's not better than all those four you just mentioned. Well
I
established
I
players.
think he will be. I think he will be.
Mm-hmm. Well, the next running back that might get some touches in Vegas is Jalen Richard, who only had 39 carries for 145 yards, but had 36 receptions for 323 yards. So he is your primary passing running back in Vegas. And it's pretty hard to ignore. 2 seasons ago, had 68 receptions for 607 yards in 2018, but that was before they drafted Josh Jacobs. So he was the primary running back in Oakland, I guess. So I have him ranked 57th in running back rankings, bench roll, maybe low end low end flex. You're playing heavy PPR, so don't look out for Jalen Richard, but he might be a good pickup on the waiver wire.
Maybe, but we'll get into the receivers now. I don't. So like I've said, I have my top 30, and then so these guys I don't have in my top 30. These two guys I'm going to talk about here. The
Who's the
first
second?
one, pardon.
Who's the second?
I'll get into it. Just relax. I'm the wide receiver guy. You stick to your tight ends and running backs. Uh,
Go ahead.
but the first guy out of Alabama again. So a lot of Alabama
Roll
people in
Tide.
this division. Mr. Henry Ruggs III. Last year with Alabama had 746 receiving yards for 7 touchdowns, and then rushing he put up a touchdown with 75 yards. But in Alabama too, he wasn't even the number one guy.
Exactly.
That Jerry Jeudy getting thrown the ball all the time. So that's why he lost a bit of stock in
Not
the
really.
thing. Well, I think so, but I still think he's going to be a very good, because isn't he the fastest 40? He put like the fastest 40 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you follow like Bleacher Report or anything on Instagram, you'll see how quick his feet are too, and how like on a dime he is.
Kind of resembles my footwork.
Yeah, he has pretty good footwork. So obviously he's not in my top 30, but he's still a sleeper that I would like. Like you said, he's a rookie, so I think he'll be a good flex player for Oakland because I think he'll be the number one guy there.
Yeah, he was the first receiver gone in the NFL draft, to much of the chagrin of all the NFL insiders. Oh, it's gonna be Judy.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't. And yeah, like you said, you went a 4.27 40-yard dash, which is just unbelievable. Almost like my number, but we won't get into that. We should
Not
do
really.
that. A little combine, pure fitness combine.
A
Good
little
Lord.
combine for the NFL.
Yeah, Ruggs had 13.6 yards per target and 10.5 yards after the catch, which were both top 4 in this year's rookie class for receivers. So he's, again, clearly the primary receiver in Vegas, which is a lot of responsibility for a rookie going into that kind of environment. But you got John Gruden there, so he's going to make you feel just at home, no problem. So I have him ranked 45th in my wide receiver rankings. I like him again as a flex player, like you said. So he's going to turn some heads, I think, this year. Henry Ruggs, watch out.
And then this other guy out of Clemson. So I'm
Go
sure
Tigers. Hunter
Clemson,
Renfro?
Hunter Renfro.
Oh
Yes.
my.
And I think obviously he only played 1 year last year. He's 24 years old. Played in 13 games, but only started 4. He had 49 receptions on 71 targets, put up 605 yards, and he got 4 touchdowns. So being able to get 4 touchdowns on 49 receptions and only starting 4 games, I think
Yeah,
is
he had to earn his keep big time.
exactly, yeah. So he was, what was it? Yards per game, he was putting up what? 46.5 yards per game. And per reception, he's putting up 12.3. So I think he obviously had to earn it as well. But I'm a big Clemson fan, so obviously I want to throw him in here. But I still think he was worth mentioning as being that guy
Yeah,
who's
poor
going to be.
man's Cooper Cup.
And Cooper Cup's not that bad, but still, he still has to make a name for himself.
And
I
speaking of
still,
making names for themselves, sorry to cut you off, Mr. Darren Waller. Who would have
okay,
thought?
yeah,
Who would have thought at your tight end position who had 90 receptions for 1,145 yards and only 3 touchdowns? But man, this guy came out of nowhere.
yeah, he did.
He's got a 6'6" frame, so he is your prototypical catching tight end. Just jump out there and snatcher. Waller finished no lower than 4th among tight ends in snaps, routes, targets, receptions, yardage, and yards per target. So Buddy's getting some serious looks. So again, might take some looks away from the other receivers, but he was fantasy's 3rd best tight end last year, behind Kelsey and Kittle.
Not
So he
bad.
is in some serious company. So he's, for me, is ranked 6th in my tight end rankings as a high to mid end running back number 1.
Yeah, I have
Or
number
running back, tight end number 1.
I have number 6 too because he's gonna. I don't know, like he just came out of nowhere, right? Like I didn't this he targeted 117 in Oakland or now Las Vegas, but being inside the top 10, hopefully he's able to keep these numbers going and not be a bust for fantasy aficionados for like you and me. So, but the
Oh,
kickers
see
are.
the kicker then.
I'm not even gonna get Daniel Carlson. I don't want to.
Yeah.
They want to get into Daniel Carlson. If you want to get into him,
Yeah,
sure.
he's got some sweet numbers here. 19 and
Yeah, I
26
didn't want to
for
bring him
field
up.
goals. But he only missed 2 extra points, 34 for 36.
Mhm.
Offense probably won't score much this year, but we've been proven wrong multiple times. Like me in the Champions League final. How are you? So they're not my top 15. Good line on PSG before we get into that, okay? It was a good line. I'm not going to make 1.7 something on Bayern, so just calm down.
Malcolm knows more soccer, whatever.
There's another good money line, so that's okay. Vegas defense, who last season 32 sacks, 9 INTs, 6 fumbles, 2 touchdowns, 399 points against, and 5,677 yards against. Stacked up pretty well at the draft. Who again, I think surprising pick with their first rounder taking the Ohio State University cornerback Damon Arnett with their selection. But I think it's some big sophomore campaigns for Cleveland
Mhm.
Farrell and Jonathan Abram, who need to show up this year to kind of make good on the draft picks that they got used for. And I love this guy. I don't know if he's still playing in Vegas, but I hope he gets some more looks. Obi Melifonwu had a unbelievable combine 2 years ago. Unbelievable combine. But kind of got looked back on. I think he was a third round pick. Hopefully he gets more looks. He's my guy. Hopefully get him on the pod. I'd love to have this guy on the podcast. Holy shnikey. But yeah, they're not in my top 15 in terms of rankings.
No, me neither. I have top 16. They're not in my top 16 either, so they didn't come.
Obi, come on, the pod.
And we're gonna cap it all off now with the Los Angeles Chargers. And for the Chargers, there's 2 quarterbacks that we're going to talk about, but I think one is kind of the clear-cut starter and the other one they're going to groom. The first one being Mr. Tyrod Taylor, and I'm going to bring you back to 2017 because that's the time where he had like his closest to a full season was 2017 with the Buffalo Bills. That's when he had just 1 yard shy of 2,800 passing yards, 14 touchdowns, 4 picks, and then rushed the ball for 427 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. So Tyrod obviously not being able to be at that starting position again for the past 3 years. And now I think with the Chargers, he'll be able to do that because of who they drafted, and they're going to want to groom this guy. But Tyrod's going to have to play and show that he's still capable of being a starter in this league. But still, even saying that, I have him at number 31 overall for my fantasy rankings.
Yeah, me too. I actually have him 31 as well. Look at you go. But yeah, he's only attempted 91 passes since in the last 3 seasons after losing starting jobs in both Buffalo and Cleveland. And he has never actually appeared in a full 16-game regular season.
Yeah.
And I don't think he will be this year. But his best fantasy finish was ninth in the 2016-2017 season when Buffalo made the playoffs for the first time in the 21st century. But his game is built on minimizing turnovers. He only has a career since 2015. He has 18 interceptions on 1,327 passing attempts, so it's pretty efficient. And he's pretty good with his legs, which is a top 3 at the quarterback position in rushing yards each season from 2015 to 2017. So yeah, number 31, Tyrod.
And then 2 spots behind him. So at number 33,
Yeah, me too. Look at you
I
go.
have Mr. Justin Herbert. So Justin Herbert, rookie out of Oregon.
Go Ducks.
Last year with Oregon, had 3,471 passing yards, 32 touchdowns, 6 picks, and then on 58 rushing attempts, had 50 rushing yards, so 0.9
Oh,
average.
yeah.
4 rushing touchdowns as well. So he's still able to pound that ball in because he's a bigger quarterback. So he's able to get into end zone, need be on the 1 yard line and just sneak it in there. But like I said, he's going to have to be groomed, I think, and not rushed into any starting position for the Chargers because they want to make sure they find their franchise quarterback, and this guy could be it if they do it properly and don't rush him into anything. So I have him at number 33.
The Senior Bowl MVP in 2019-2020, Mr. Herbert, 6'6", 236. So he is your prototypical stand-in-the-pocket, gun-slinging, good-looking, slick-back, long-haired quarterback. He's going to be in this league for a long time, but it might not be oh, God, I think I took him a little bit there. But he's going to be in the league for a long time, but it may not be to start off the season or play this season, depending on how good Tyrod Taylor runs with this job. Like, it all depends on how he does.
Yep.
Like, if he might get rushed like Baker did in his rookie year, that Tyrod got hurt, and Justin Herbert, and he lights it up, and he just takes the job. It'd be a shame if it's the way that is, but he's gonna be good. He's gonna be a good player. Phillip Rivers 2.0 in LA, but I have 33, like myself. But I think the guy that's gonna be turning some heads this year that I think he's gonna need to. It's Austin Eckler, running back, who had only 132 carries for 557 yards and 3 touchdowns, but did more of his work in the passing game with 92 receptions for almost 1,000 yards at 993 and 8 receiving touchdowns. Crazy. Unbelievable. Ranked no lower than second among running backs in targets, receptions, yards, and touchdowns. I think your boy James White is doing all these numbers from him. It's him and James White as your number 1 passing running back. But despite being the backup for most of the season, Eckler was fantasy's 4th highest scoring running back.
Yeah, because he's
going to get more touches this year.
When Melvin was holding out,
I have him ranked 22nd in my running back rankings, mid to low end running back number 2. But I love him at the flex position.
Yeah, I think he's a perfect flex player. I have him at number 19 overall. Still inside the top 20, but flex for sure because he's going to be able to put up some points and being, especially in PPR leagues and our League of Idiots, that's for sure. We're going to have a nice PPR league. And
the way it's supposed to be.
The way it should be for every league. But
doesn't matter, people.
Number 19 overall, Austin Eckler. Is there another running back that you want to talk about?
Justin Jackson is going to be running back number 2. He's 29 carries for only 200 yards and a huge 9 receptions for a huge 22 yards. He is going to get the goal line touches this year in LA because Austin Eckler is the biggest man or specimen. So I think Justin Jackson's going to get a lot of goal line looks, which makes for a lot of touchdowns. So I have him ranked 49th in running back rankings, bench player. But he might get maybe upwards of 4 touchdowns this year.
You think so?
Check out the goal line looks.
But
absolutely.
We're going to get into, in my opinion, the most underrated
receiver in the league.
Mr. Keenan Allen. He's still doesn't crack my top 20, right outside number 21. Still, though, last year putting up 1 yard
The
shy of
most
1,200.
underrated player, but he's outside my top 20.
Yeah. Number at 1,200, because if I keep him outside, people will forget to think about him. But 1 yard shy of 1,200 yards, 6 reception touchdowns. He was targeted 149 times, and he had
Thank you,
100,
Philip Rivers.
and he had 104 receptions total. So I think he's going to be able to put up some better numbers this year, in my opinion, because the wide receiver trio or duo or whatever who they have Mike Williams, who isn't like a household name, but still good number two. He's still questionable to start the season. And then they have Jalen Guyton. So you don't really like no one knows about him or anything. Maybe he'll have a little breakout, but Keenan Allen's still going to be that number one guy for Tyrod Taylor this year, and maybe he'll put up duplicate numbers or maybe just a bit less. That's what I'm thinking because Tyrod's going to be more hesitant with his throws than I think Philip Rivers was.
To
So
put it
that's why I
lightly.
think to lower just because of his quarterback change, but still as a low end number one and a number two receiver in this league.
Yeah, Keenan Allen was a top 20 receiver in half the games last year, but in the other half, he was outside the top 30. So it was a very hot and cold year for him,
Yeah.
but very durable. Hasn't missed the game. Hasn't missed a game since 2016, but hasn't scored more than 6 touchdowns in a season since 2013. And the quarterback throwing him the ball, Tyrod Taylor, is not the most prototypical quarterback to be throwing the ball 30-plus yards like Keenan Allen likes to be thrown it to by Philip Rivers. So I don't know if you're going to get a whole lot of production run in yards per catch or yards per target. So I have him ranked inside my top 20 at 19 as a high to mid-end wide receiver number 2. And just talk about Mike Williams for a bit. He was ranked fourth in yards per target at 11, but dealt with the worst luck in the league in the touchdown department because he had 2. He sucked. But to go with that, he had 11 end zone targets, which was good for 8th most in the league, and had 2 touchdowns out of it. So, and like you said, he is week to week nursing an injury, so I have him ranked 45th in running back my wide receiver rankings. I like, again, low end flex player that I would be taking with one of my last picks. Not draft wise, but receivers wise.
That's good, yeah.
Tight end, I think the one more up and coming stars in the position is Hunter Henry, who last season had 55 receptions for 652 yards and 5 majors. He's yet to play a full 16-game season, missing all of 2018 and a total of 7 games the other 3 seasons. So that includes 4 last year. This last year was his first top 10 fantasy season with missing 4 games. He has finished inside the top 10 in yards per target in all 3 of his NFL seasons and has been a force near the goal line with 17 touchdowns and 25 end zone targets in 41 games. This guy's going to be a good player.
Yeah.
He's going to be a really good player. And with Tyrod Taylor throwing the ball as long as Philip Rivers did, I think Hunter Henry's going to be poised to have some big numbers. Yeah. So I have him ranked inside the top 10 at number 7 as a high to mid-end tight end number 1.
Number 7 for sure. Exact same for me. Like you said, with Tyrod Taylor throwing in the ball, even in the end zone, when they're in the red zone even, I think Tyrod's going to be looking Henry's way a lot of the time. So that's going to get him some good fantasy stock, in my opinion. But kicker for the Chargers is Michael Badgley in his second year. He's 24 years as well, same age as Harrison Butker. Still isn't putting up the same numbers as Mr. Harrison Butker when... Are you still there?
I am.
Frozen. Hello? Okay, you're there. You're back.
Never left.
He was 100% from extra point, but only hitting 19. Yeah. So 19 and 19.
Very small sample size.
Yeah, exactly. He missed 3 of his field goals this year, but only attempting 16 total. So it was 81%. He was 0 for 1 from 50 plus. He was 6 for 8 from 40 to 49, then 2 for 2 from inside 30, and 5 for 5 from inside 20. So still not a kicker I'm looking out for. So slides out my top 15. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, that Harrison Butker is the only kicker in this division that you should really look out for.
Yeah, I think the Chargers have a hard time scoring again this year. Mm-hmm. So I don't see these numbers going up as much as people would like them to go up. So yeah. I think maybe they would go up maybe by like an extra 10 both ways. So like he's not in my top 15. But I think the defense is more on the up and coming
Yeah.
scene is LA's. Well, the Chargers, I guess. 30 sacks, 11 INTs, 3 fumbles, 1 touchdown, 327 points against, and 5,009 yards against. The unit last year was 21st in fantasy, but due to forcing a league low 14 turnovers. I think a healthy Derwin James goes a long way for this team.
Yep.
Derwin James nursing a foot injury over most of the year last year, so if he's healthy, it helps the team out a lot because arguably when he's healthy, he's the best safety in the league. And they also got some huge additions as well, getting defensive tackle Linval Joseph, cornerback, the aforementioned cornerback, All-Pro Chris Harris Jr., and a good first-round pick and linebacker from Oklahoma, Kenneth Murray. I think he can do a lot of damage. They did lose Thomas Davis last year
Yeah.
for this year. So I had them ranked at number 11 in my defensive rankings.
Wow. And
So you already have Big Bear, Joy Bosa from the Ohio State University. Thank you very much. Melvin Ingram. And as well as special teams, you want to talk special teams, Desmond King is an absolute force. He's usually getting a punt return or kick return touchdown every year. So it's going to boost those points up.
Number 11, that's crazy. They slide outside the top 16 for me. But who knows? You could prove me wrong here. Maybe.
I always do. So I'm usually good at that.
Like the PSG Bayern game, you were right?
Bro.
Oh, you can't go against.
You want me to make $1.50 betting on Bayern? No. Thank you very much.
You can't go against the Canadian, though.
He'll be back. He already won, but he'll be back again.
Maybe.
Like, we'll be back
Yeah.
for the weekly recap where we'll be taping the same place for the first time ever. Well, that's 6 feet apart, obviously. Mr. COVID still reeling or creaking his ugly head in the room. But, hey, for everybody in St. Catharines Soil area, fingers are crossed because Malcolm's got some big news on the COVID front there.
I do.
0 active cases.
Oh, yeah, there's in Thorold, per 10,000 residents, there's 0 cases. In St. Catharines, per 10,000 like active cases right now, 0.6 people.
Yeah, thanks to downtown.
Yeah, but that's also before students start coming back here, and
stay smart, kids.
Yeah, just stay smart. I guess if you're at this point in the video, if you're still watching, just stay smart. Don't party. Stay at home.
Party with your housemates.
Yeah, party with your housemates. It's still gonna be a good time.
Yeah, like when you got me right here, come on. What are you gonna do? Listen to us in the background? Why not?
Maybe not with Jay, but like your other housemates. It'll be a good time.
Well, on that note, we'll be seeing you for a weekly recap. And until then, it's The Break.
And Money Malcolm.